I'm gonna try to do this right someday, where it's like, because it goes into, you know, from that beginning to like my face, and then it's always like, there I am. Oh, what should I say?
I like it though because it's part of like it's your signature.
Yeah,
like
my
every
signature.
time
I don't know what the heck is
every
going on.
time the show starts, you're just like, where am I?
Yeah. There I am.
Deer in the headlight look.
Welcome to Write That Down, a Probetus podcast. I'm your host, Matt Fisher. To my left, as usual, we've got Phil Irwin. Hi, Phil.
Hi, everybody.
Across from Phil, we've got Mr. Mark Jensen. And to his left, we've got Chrissy Lund.
Hello.
Hi, Chrissy.
Hello.
We are live again today. This is our second week we're live. Apparently, there's a bell or something under something that you're supposed to click, and if you click it, then you'll get notified next time we go live.
Yeah. So if
Are you on the book face, or do you know what that even means?
I think it's on the YouTube.
Oh, is it
No.
a YouTube thing?
I thought the bell was on
No.
YouTube.
So right now we are Facebook Live,
Okay.
from what I understand. And if you go to the video that's now on your Facebook, you go to the bottom portion, and there's like all these menu options. So you click on the drop down, you say subscribe to the show, and then you're notified every time we go live.
All right.
That's what Savannah wanted you to say.
Oh, okay.
I thought we were on the show Saved by the Bell.
No, that was a pretty good show. I remember, yeah, and it kind of went through a couple iterations, right? There was like the one with Miss Bliss. Do you remember that one? Like the very first one, and not the whole crew is in it. Then there was the regular Saved by the Bell that we
Then-
all know with Zach Morris and
Screech.
AC Slater and
Yeah.
Screech.
Then they went to college.
And then they went to college. So there were a few iterations, but no, Mark Jensen, we are not on Saved by the Bell
Oh,
today.
okay.
That's your next casting call. Saved by the Bell, The Villages.
The Villages.
Oh,
Yes.
there you go. Saved by the help I've fallen and I can't get up
After
bell.
college, there's
Saved
just
by
like this,
whatever that.
What are
life,
those things
Saved by
called?
Life Alert. The Village is yours.
it's perfect though, because like there's been like 20, 30, 40 years between when they graduated college and they end up the Villages, and there's a lot to go over. There's pretty a lot of content
Yeah,
for that
we'll
show.
see who's still together.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, if you are watching us live on the Bookface Facebook, please feel free to comment. Mark Jensen is looking up at the big screen every once in a while. See, there he is looking.
Yep.
And he's
Fran Anderson says, yes, you're live on FB.
Okay,
Dot,
FB.
LOL.
I was
Mom.
right.
Hi, Mom.
See that?
There she is. Okay, we're saying hi, Mom, again. All right, so checking in. How is everybody doing? Good. Fantastic. Last week, we were going to end the show with a question, and it had to do with what we were talking about last week, which was about unicorns, fake unicorns, horses with cones on there.
Yeah, something that doesn't currently exist.
Yeah, so the question was this, and this is the question I'm going to ask the group to see if they would like to comment on that. The question is, if you were to request a unicorn, and I will say unicorn in quotation marks, so some sort of product that should exist that doesn't right now, what would that product be? And I will start with Phil because he was the one that was really wanting this question because he thought about it.
Yeah, I was disappointed that we didn't get there yesterday or whenever we recorded this last week.
Yeah.
But here's my answer: the flying car. So I remember when my grandfather was a kid, he would get Popular Mechanics, and they're like, within the next 5 years is going to be a flying car. And I remember subscribing to Popular Mechanics and
I made that.
Go ahead and hit record.
And we're back.
Hello, hello.
you guys go ahead and talk. You're back.
Hey, we're back. We had a little glitch here at the studio.
Matt,
And Phil was literally in the middle of a sentence. And now we're going to like pretend like Phil was just picking up where he was because when we get to the recorded part, it's going to like flow amazingly.
Yeah.
So Phil was talking.
yeah, Matt had asked me what unicorn I wish existed but doesn't currently exist, and my answer was flying car. And I was saying that I remember looking back at like the old Popular Mechanics magazines, and they would have these brand new articles talking about the latest and greatest development for flying car. And it still really hasn't happened to any sort of degree that makes sense. And I was also saying that back in the day, so this is 1956, there was a prototype for something called the Hiller flying platform. So here's my phone here. You guys can see. Look it up, Hiller. So they were testing these things, and soldiers were just flying these things around. It was just ducting air technology. I guess it was a primitive version of what we have for like drones and stuff now. And you're still not able to fly a car around.
So
It's 2023.
like literally a bunch of crap.
Yeah, we've had plenty of time to work
Yeah.
out the kinks.
And this Pro Beaters podcast brought to you by Hillier Flying Cars.
The Hiller flying platform.
Hiller Flying Platform. It's going to get you from A to Z and
They just-
everywhere in between.
They just need to
Hiller.
bring the schematic out of the box and keep working on it.
Exactly. Come on, Elon Musk. You're on this.
You know, my my unicorn is something related to that.
Oh, well, that'd be a great transition. We'll skip right past Mark.
Sorry, Mark. So my my unicorn is it's something that exists.
So it's
Wait.
okay.
You know how when you're in a limo and you can make the window go up between the driver and the passengers?
Yeah.
I want that as an option in all vehicles. So I don't have to listen to my kids screaming in the back.
Okay, so that's
Can you imagine?
That'd be awesome.
Can you imagine?
It would be. You know, maybe that's the next thing because when we were all children, I mean, in different levels of it, like they're like driving in the car for a road trip for parents was terrible. I can imagine like being the child, I knew how terrible it was for me. And then being with my siblings, like it was not cool for our parents. I get that. And I feel like we have it kind of easy now because they put TVs in the car.
And they have tablets
And tablets and everything else. Like if you hear a peep right now, parents are kind of like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Kids are like, can you imagine if we were parents in the 80s and had to deal with it? Like
No.
we would have no ability to get through the trip.
But you're also in like that small contained area, and when your kids are really loud, it hurts your ears.
Now, let's say you don't have kids and it's just like, okay, no, let's go down this path with the with this divider, which I'm all for. I feel like if limo drivers can have it, why can't you put
I
it
think
in?
they do have that.
Should be an option for all
So,
vehicles.
so Mark, you think it's optional right now in
I think
all
they do have it.
vehicles?
It's police cars.
Oh,
That's what it is.
Man, you are right. That's exactly
So
right.
it's already
it's
there.
true. Well, that's more of a cage.
So I think you just, well, that's where some kids need to be.
No, you go to the police
In a cage.
auction. Yeah, you get one of the old
It's a good idea.
you know, Ford Interceptors, and you're set.
I'm going to
Okay.
look into that.
So, but with those ones, like they don't go up and down. That's like
Yeah, I just want to hit a button.
okay.
Like-
Now we're probably getting to the point where it's like, how many of us been in the back of a cop car, and we don't want to go down that path right now. I don't think. Probably not.
No,
My parents are watching. I'm not
Okay,
going
so
down
we
that.
won't,
The
we won't
only
go down
time-
that path right now.
Yeah,
but
the only time I had to sit in a cop car was so I was a young new driver, had expired tabs. I was driving my grandpa's car, and he's a farmer, and he would put the tabs like in a circle all the way around the
Nice.
license plate,
Nice.
which you can't do.
No.
So I'm driving his car. The cop pulls me over, and he sees that I'm young and I'm terrified. The first time I've been pulled over, and he's like, "Come with me, sir." And I'm
so
like,
this guy, he
Yeah.
doubles down.
"Yeah." So I get in the car, and I'm expecting to go in the back. He let me sit in the front.
Oh.
But that was more awkward because I'm sitting next to the guy, and he's writing all this stuff in his book, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to the slammer on my way to hockey practice." But
Okay, so
He
we've
let me
got,
go.
We've got a flying car.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a divider in a car. Mark Jensen, what's your unicorn?
That's a good question.
You mean the question that I put on last week's production notes that you didn't read?
Yeah.
Then I
What's my
re-put it on this
unicorn?
week's production notes, and you're still struggling.
My unicorn.
And, hold on, and you're the third one to go, so has not been able to even think of anything.
Well, the other ones are so long, I got sleepy.
can I pick one for Mark?
Oh, I got one. I want one when I get ready for work in the morning. I press a button and I lose weight and I become
Ooh.
six-pack abs and I look physically fit.
Ooh, I like that one. So, okay, so it's specifically for your abs.
It's called
my
the,
whole body.
the
Hair
Insta
growth.
Physique.
What if you're a hologram and you're like still at home laying in bed, but your hologram's at work?
Ooh.
Well, your avatar goes to work.
Ooh.
Well, kind of
like
like,
that.
you know, it could be work though, kind of like the Jetsons, you know, they can just stood there and
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want a Rosie to
So,
clean my house.
The robot.
okay,
Yeah.
we had a Rosie in our house, and Rosie died, so we now have Alice.
Oh, but not just one of those discs. I want her to
Vacuum, yeah.
cook and vacuum. I want to do it
like
all.
a full-on Rosie.
Heck yeah.
So my idea for Mark was the winter sandal.
Oh.
Ooh, what would?
What would
So-
that look like?
Oh yeah, so it would have like basically a force field emitting layer that
Oh.
would come out of the strap, and it would wrap around the foot area and keep it insulated without being able to see it.
You know, on
You
Cloudy,
did read a lot of popular science as a child.
Yeah.
Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs, he had spray-on shoes.
That was actually a really decent show.
Okay.
Moving on.
So moving on. So I just want to make sure. So we got flying car, we've got divider, we've got some sort of
The Insta Physique.
Insta physique
Yep.
and probably not clothing, because I think, knowing Mark, you still want to pick your clothes.
Yeah.
So just the
You could
physique.
program it.
And then back to Phil for Mark's additional one of winter
The
sandals.
winter sandal.
Okay, the winter sandal.
Spray-on shoes.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you for that rousing discussion on unicorn things that don't exist. Today's quote I will read to you for write that down. Now, this is one so I will just say we had a glitch here, and our producer Paul says this glitch has never happened in his whole time, 3+ years in a studio. It glitched, and I think the robots know what the topic is today. So I'm
Yeah.
just letting
Are they
that
trying
out
to
there.
stop us?
I think they
Absolutely.
are. And
Oh.
and we're going to talk about them and they and who they are and what the ones and zeros know and don't know about us. But here's the quote, okay? If there's ever a tough decision between a human and a robot, always go with a human. Okay, Phil, write that down. Why would I say such a intensely weird thing like that?
Prolific.
I think it was one of those, I guess, phone call situations. I'll give you a current example. So I was recently on the chat with Delta Airlines. And like, you can tell that it's not a real person because they get back to you quickly. It's just spitting out information and it never gets it right. Like, never. And it always ends with the robot saying, "Did that answer your question?" And if you hit no enough times, you're just like, no, 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 no. It's like, would you like to be connect with a representative? And you're like,
That's
yes,
why
I
I
would.
called.
That's the only reason I came on here. So I think it was one of those situations where I had complained to you about something and you're like, hey, if you got to make the choice, go with the human. And I was like, that's a good one. I like it. It made me feel good because I am a human for as much as you guys know.
Well, we won't take a vote on it since we're
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
You read a lot of popular science. Like,
yeah. I've had upgrades.
So with that said, like I think it was the end of 2022. We were doing a podcast, and I was like, I'm into this AI stuff and machine learning and all that. My favorite movie is The Matrix. Like I get it. Like robots are
Robots.
gonna take over the planet.
Like Spider-Man.
And it was like at the end of it was the end of November, early December 2022. There was something called Chat GPT, and I thought I was going to be really smart on the podcast. And I think I said something like Chat PPT or Chat, ASP or something like that. And then I got corrected. I'm like, oh yeah, Chat GPT. I thought I knew what it was. Now, fast forward, we're in August of 2023, and if you haven't heard of Chat GPT by now, you're living under a rock, because it's all over the place. Everybody's using it. If you're in business right now, your business model is saying, how are we using AI? How does it fit into OpenAI? What are all these, So that said, what do you think, not what, when do you think robots will take over?
I
Chrissy.
think they already have taken over.
Okay.
Have you ever been talking about something and then you look at your phone and you see ads for it?
Yeah.
They've taken over.
Okay.
I think it's gonna go. It's gonna go up and then it's gonna go down, just like self checkouts. Everyone has a self checkout. Everyone's eventually gonna go so fed up with them that the real cashiers will come back.
So
I think you're right.
So the
because
robot. Okay, so Chrissy, your perspective is the robots have taken over.
Yes.
But they're gonna die out and
I
lose
think,
real
I think
quickly
it's one
to
of those,
humans.
I don't know about real quickly, but I think it's one of those things where everybody thinks it's the latest and greatest new thing, and then eventually they're like, wait, maybe we should dial it back.
I think you're right because a lot of those decisions are they're driven by money, right?
Yes.
And so they're like, hey, we're having a hard time finding people to wait on people, so let's bring in the robot. But then they have a hard time getting people to enter the restaurant in the first place because
Yes.
we're like, screw you guys,
it's
this
the
place
robot.
stinks. And then they're like, why is it we're not selling cheeseburgers? It's like, bring back
Yep.
what we're
I
actually
will-
looking for.
I will tell you what works, and this is what I like. I like when I'm on my computer and I can hit the chat button. So I'm electronically trying to chat and get an answer or a question answered, but there's another person on the other end. answering my question.
Because usually by the time you click that button, you have already on your own, you've read through the frequently
Yep.
asked questions, you've searched the website high and low.
And there's
The-
just like one thing I need
The
answered.
only reason you're going there is like it's the one thing I can't get from the machine that's already in front of me.
Correct.
I have a question. So all three of you guys have kids, and we've been talking now about nobody working. Are you going to make your kids work?
Heck yeah.
What do you mean by work? Like,
Well, like a job. Like when I was growing up, I worked at the hospital. You worked at Kmart. You did stuff. When we talk about like shortage,
Yep.
do you think that's because I do see a lot of times now it's like, yeah, it's the young generation. Are they working? Are the parents
Yeah.
having work? Like,
I can't fund their lifestyle forever.
but that's what I just kind of when we're talking about like with the whole thing, and you guys have kids, you think about it. It's like, what? I worked. I still played in the pep band. You
Yep.
went to the events. But now do we see, like, I can go to the fitness center and it's like prime working hours
Yeah.
and it's full of capable working kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The
You know,
kids
so
want
then- so
something.
we-
I want. I'm like, you don't have a job.
So it's kind of like, when we're saying like the robots, but when I think, the workforce,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, this is totally off the subject, I guess, but when the workforce, when you look at it, it's like families are smaller
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, but when the kids aren't working, like, you can drive through school parking lots or
Yeah.
whatever and driving nice cars or,
Yeah.
whether they're the fitness center or whatever, they're wearing nice clothes, they're carrying the best water bottles, but are they working?
But who's paying for it? I'll be 100% truthful here. I did not
No,
work.
no,
until,
we lie on this.
Shush, shush, shush.
No, oh.
I did not work until I graduated high school.
You've been shushed twice already.
Like my parents let me not work.
Okay.
They took very good care of me. But I
So-
babysat. I mean, I babysat and I paid for some stuff and they paid for some stuff. And then I got a job when I went to college.
So Mark's question was, will we have our kids work? And you said yes.
100%.
Mine's a yes. Like mine legally work at Probitas, kind of.
But I think the
Some of
problem is
them-
not your kids and my kids.
No,
It's
I'm
the
just
kids
saying-
between.
I'm just saying, like, in
us.
general, when you look at it, it's
It's
like,
the kids that could be in the working force right now. And I think maybe we're seeing the error of the ways. And so you and I with young kids are saying, oh, they're going to work.
So are the non-working kids of now? Are there, I guess, guardians paying for everything, or is it all debt?
They have to be.
Like,
I
what
have
is
no
it?
idea.
well, yeah, I don't know either. But like you look at it, it's like even and maybe obviously I'm older than all you guys, grew up in a different generation. It's like, you had coffee shops, but now look how many times people go like to like the Starbucks, the coffee shops and all that.
The
For-
teas, they get their teas.
right, or even whether it's a local coffee shop or like national chain. You know what? These kids are going there. And it's like when I was growing up, it's kind of like if you got to go out to eat at McDonald's, it was like a treat. But now it's like this young generation, they're being raised. Oh, you go. It's just interesting. I don't
Well,
know. I have 27 plants. They don't leave the house.
But also, you go to say a restaurant or somewhere where like your friends worked when you were a teenager, and there's adults working there now. It's like, well, shouldn't the teens be working? The pools can't open because they don't have lifeguards.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to be a lifeguard?
My favorite
the
sign,
robots, because they can't go in the water.
My favorite sign
yet.
from all this COVID stuff where people would just put out a handwritten flyer. Like the one dude that got out of bed that day that was like, sorry, we're closed because no one showed up. It's like, that isn't an answer.
Correct.
Like, there was no
well, and
excuse
just
for that.
the straight up communication. One thing that just burns my husband more than anything is when he's at a checkout and he says thank you, and the person goes,
Well, and even when we're talking that, you kind of think
or
with-
nothing at all.
Yeah.
And you even just think with the whole concept of like robots and like like you brought up earlier with thinking of like the self checkouts and all that. It's like it's interesting when you see everybody's mad at self checkouts, but you know what? That's technology.
Yeah.
But you know what? We are mad if technology, like, look, when all of a sudden the podcast went down, we
Yeah.
all panic mode because technology wasn't working.
I've been
so
at-
when you think
yeah.
about it, it's kind of almost a double-edged sword.
I've been at
Am
Walmart
I wrong?
before, and none of the checkouts would take cash. They have no checkouts that take cash. Well, a cashier could take cash.
Do you remember the coin shortage?
Ugh, the fake coin shortage.
I still don't know
boy.
what. Excuse
This
me.
became Probitas.
I still don't know what the hell they were talking
Robots.
about. I went into my bank and I said, "Hey, I've got a quick question. I've been seeing signs all over about this coin shortage," and they're like, "No, we're fine."
Yeah.
Like, this is the bank.
That
Like,
was people not wanting to take change.
Starbucks and Caribou were just feeding me a line, man.
Do your kids know how to count change back? I bet they don't.
Oh yeah, Well,
I mean, yours
not
might,
back,
but
they're using coins are great because they're a great learning tool.
yeah.
And they like money because back to you kept saying, I'm not buying you fill in the blank because you don't have a job. It's funny because you say that enough times and they start saying, well,
When can I get a job?
what can I do for money? And you're like, all right, it's chore time.
Yep.
Like, and that's actually kind of a fun little
And
stage.
my kids already do that. Like, what can I do to earn money?
Yep.
But I mean, back to the change thing. My mom taught me how to count change back. Like, here's a $50 bill. If they owe you 20 something, this is how you count change back. And that's a dying art because it just is.
So, back to the.
Well, yeah, I can transition us back to robots based on Mark's question.
no, I was going to do
Because,
the same thing.
Well, do you want to crack at it?
Yeah, to transition back. So a lot of talk has been in play about AI in the sense of like deep fake, right?
Yes.
So like placing, the image of somebody who either exists or don't exist over top of a actual person, or maybe it's just entirely, computer created. But as it relates to the actors strike, right?
Yes.
So maybe that's a good starting point for what people are thinking AI will be in the future.
Well, I feel like Chrissy thinks it's gonna be, no big deal.
I'm
like,
not
a little
saying
bit,
no big
well,
deal,
not no
but
big deal, but like humans are gonna come back.
I'm
and,
hoping that
like-
we realize the error of our ways and go back to human contact.
Okay, so there's that thought, and then we've got Phil over here talking about something like deep fakes and like people's images not really being them and their voice not being them, but it's a dead ringer. It looks and sounds and feels exactly like that, which is in all intents and purposes AI.
What's frustrating about the video side of things is that people used to say, I'll just pick something out of the sky, aliens, right? People used to say, well, prove it to me. I need a video, right? That's no longer applicable
Viable,
as
yeah.
evidence because instantly, whether it's a video you took yourself or it's a guy you don't know, instantly everybody's like, well, they just made that.
Right.
It's so easy. And so,
Hi.
Yeah.
I am Mark
Mark's
Jensen.
a robot.
Mork
I
and
work
Mindy.
for Probetus Promotions.
Nanu.
But like, if it gets
Was
so
Mork
good,
a robot? He was an alien.
He was an
right?
alien.
Yeah.
Okay, but there were 80s shows with robots, right? There was the one.
Remember the one with the little girl?
Yes.
Lost in Space.
No. Well, I mean that was
Forbidden
one, but
The
the
Planet.
little girl was a
oh
robot.
no, it wasn't
Punky Brewster wasn't.
It
No.
was,
With the little girl with the red dress, and she was a
yeah,
robot.
I've looked it up before to show
Little
my
Red
kids.
Riding Hood?
No.
Anyways, there were shows about robots, very similar to the flying cars, where it's like we've been talking about this stuff
Yeah.
for a long time, but I feel like in 2023 we're finally at the point where it's like, all right, this machine, robot, whatever you want to call it, is doing stuff, and it's doing stuff that humans were doing, and some people are saying doing it better. Like it started out with the Chat GPT as just writing, and producer Paul brought over something that Chat GPT said it would. The question that was asked is, would you be correct in an argument who would be correct in an argument, artificial intelligence or a human? And Chat GPT, like in how many seconds was this? Like probably 3 seconds. Spit out this entire thing about how, I'm not even going to read it because the AI is going to say that it was better, but
Small wonder.
Mark has a
Small
question.
wonder. Small
Mark,
wonder.
You know what I just thought? We have had flying cars.
what were they called?
Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh.
Their car's always flying.
It was, yeah.
So we've already crossed that bridge. And
That
you know
is
what? When
true.
you're talking about cars and like robots, I drove a Pacer X. That was like a George Jetson car.
Was it?
Kind of my lame Jensen, so they
Oh.
at school they
Oh,
say
you were
my-
Jensen.
My friend Berg would sing,
Meek Mark.
"Here
Jensen.
comes Mark Jetson in his Pacer."
What about the car in Back to the Future?
The DeLorean.
The DeLorean.
Yeah.
That was kind of a-
kind of flew.
Well, and that
I
was a
mean,
time traveling car.
That's also true.
Yeah, but it flew too, I think,
I don't know.
in some of them.
I think
Where
so.
we're
Yes, because
going,
remember
like
the
we
tires.
don't need roads.
Yeah, yeah, it did
yes.
say that. So, but I feel like, so Chrissy's like humans are gonna be like, we're gonna get out of this, no big deal. No, I'm sorry,
big deal.
a big deal, but it's gonna be something that flips.
Hopefully.
Phil's talking about deepfakes. Phil, do you think this is something that like, when do you? My question is, when do you think robots are going to take over? Chrissy's like, well, they're never going to take over. Humans are going to win.
I just think what will happen is, so deepfake will continue to get better and better. So no one will believe what they see. Okay. So it's like, I need to see it to believe it. Now that argument's totally off the table. So no one's believing anyone. Everyone's suspicious of everyone all the time, which actually is kind of me right now. But once that happens, it's kind of like
This
what
is
do
how
you do?
society
How do you-
breaks down.
Yeah, how do you come back from that? So that's my concern.
So you think, so your answer, specifically, you don't know when a time will be, but you say robots will take over.
No.
Oh,
Robots
so
versus
you think
aliens.
you think robots won't take over?
It will create immense confusion, frustration.
Much like
and
this conversation.
At that point, whoever wants to can at that point come in and easily take over due to the distraction.
The
So,
aliens.
I don't think it'll be the alien. I think it will be people aided by robots.
Okay,
I
Mark,
think
when exactly the date do you think robots are going to take over?
I will say it's probably going to be 2072.
Well, have you guys seen the Mitchells versus the Machines? If we all just carry a Robertson number 3 screwdriver, we'll be fine.
When is that movie from?
It's a cartoon. It
Oh,
came
it's a
out a year or two ago.
Really?
It's good. You should watch it. Your kids
Okay.
would like it.
So Mark is saying he agrees that robots will take over, and it'll be roughly 2072.
Yeah, let's see, will I still be living then? No.
The number
probably not.
3
So, you know what? I won't have to worry about it.
the number 3 screwdriver is like small.
The Robertson number 3 or
Well,
2. I don't remember.
Like
Watch
a
the
P2
movie.
is like your standard Phillips screwdriver.
Yes.
And I want the Irwin branded one because it's my namesake.
Have you seen the movie?
No.
I think
Then you don't know.
when the rest of us were reading comic books, Phil was reading too much of that popular science.
Yeah.
Hey, some of those comic books, they were futuristic too.
I remember the one that they always talked about, this technology, was the ramjet and the scramjet engine. So instead of a turbine that spins, it just hyper compresses the air, shoots out the back, very few moving parts. And we're going to have crazy supersonic jets. And like they've tested a handful of these things in, super low orbit, whatever, and they can get them to work and they've never used it for anything. What a
Or so you think.
disappointment.
Well, I would say everyone should watch Mitchells versus the Machines and how AI took over the world and one family saved us all.
Well, wasn't there just some show that was big, like last year or something, that on Netflix with the robots? Or that was like the AI, what was that one?
Lost in Space.
Nope.
No,
everybody
but that was a
watching.
good series.
Yeah. it's good.
But yeah, there's been. I feel like this whole robots taking over thing is been in popular science and other said publications, which has then gone into mass media with movies and all that sort of thing. And like I said, for me personally, it's not if, it's when the robots take over. And I am very, very not excited about that. And a thing that kind of freaks me out, and not freaks me out like in a sense that I'm scared of it, but freaks me out in the sense of like nobody's really talking about it, and they're just like, oh yeah, it's cool, let's just do it everywhere, is the people who like invented AI or who have put all of this attention into it and study it and are implementing it. You ask them the question, are we going to get to the point where like humans are not necessary and the robots just kind of take over and do everything? And then they go like this. Like
Man, I
they
haven't thought-
don't even have an answer
I
for
hadn't
it.
thought that far
Yeah,
ahead.
it's like, well, I've seen The Matrix and Terminator. The robots win, and they're not very happy with humans. And
Robots.
Why
yeah,
do you keep saying that?
because
Robots.
I don't
Bit.
know. It's
Like
just to,
robots.
Robots.
just to make them angry.
Don't
bring
make
it,
them angry
bring it
at
on,
us.
robot. All right, in the few minutes we have left, I do want to ask this last question, and I wanted to, it's kind of like the question I asked before, if you could have this unicorn, but more specific, if you could have a robot to do just one thing for you, something that they could do for you like every day, like a chore or something that the robot was going to do, what would that chore be? Does anybody want to go first?
Clean the house.
Okay. So
I can't keep up with it.
clean the house, like, I mean, you're talking like Alice.
Yeah, like
Not
sweep,
Alice.
sweep the floors,
Rosie
do
from
the
Jetsons.
dishes.
Yeah, so like the whole thing, like pick up the garbage,
Yes.
wash, mop, do
Yep.
the dishes,
Yep.
do the laundry,
Yep.
all that stuff.
Yep.
Okay, how about you, Mark?
Make money.
Like like printing money, because that's illegal.
Yeah, like what type of making money?
They have printers that can do that.
You know,
Mark, do we need to like?
I am robot controlled. They told me to
Someone
say
pull
that.
the plug. Pull the
so
plug.
My master
we got
told
a
me-
cleaning robot. We've got a counterfeit robot, and then
I see robots in my future. We will take over the world. You heard
How
it
about- how
here
about- how about you,
on the
Phil?
Probetus
Oh,
podcast.
make him stop. Unplug him.
Mine's a little bit more simple. I just want a robot to hand me stuff. So you sit down, you're ready to watch a show, and you didn't like dim the light, and you're like, "Frick!"
You know you have 5 kids, right?
they're not with me. And then,
But the robot is.
Okay, first of all, when I was a kid, I was dad's remote.
so I agree with that, but here's the difference: like, how many times have you stepped on your children when you take a step backwards, or they're underneath your feet somewhere? The robot, we could train it to like, it's gonna just be there, 6 feet, right, 6 feet away. And then it's ready to help. And then I can say, robot, I forgot to grab the remote again. Or like, hand me the popcorn just for when I'm sitting down on the couch. Just, that would be amazing. Just hand me stuff.
All right. Hey, it's his wish.
Yeah. I didn't even say it was an official wish. So
Oh,
like
okay,
it was
well.
just kind of
Yeah.
like just a pondering.
Just hand me stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's about all the time we have today, and I hope this was not too deep for everybody when it comes to our long future with robots and what we have and what we're going to do together, and especially because we got interrupted rudely by the robots about 5 minutes in. But with all that said, we really enjoyed being here, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Again, if you are watching this live, please click on that little dingy bell underneath, and you'll be notified next time we go live. Otherwise, until then, you can always find us at probetuspromo.com.
We don't have robots.
We don't have robots. All right. Until next time.